ask.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Madhu. Again, in name of our virtual committee tour, I would like to thank all of you for this presentation, and I would like to ask Surinder to introduce our speaker tonight.
Well, good day, fellow Rotarians and ITHF members. My name is Surinder Khanna, and I'm a member of the ITHF Virtual Travel Committee. It gives me a distinct pleasure today to introduce to you Judi Edmonds, our presenter of the Arizona Discovery. Let me tell you this, you are going to be absolutely amazed at this presentation because I have heard Judi before, and she is the most knowledgeable, articulate, and a passionate speaker. That said, I'll let the floor open to Judi, but before I do that, a short bio. Judi has lived in Arizona for 21 years and absolutely loves the land, its people, and the rich culture. She grew up in Oregon and taught there for many years. Judi lived in Iran for 2 years during high school, and shortly after she married Roger, she moved to Japan, where she taught for 4 years and adopted their first son. Judi has been a Rotarian for almost 4 years, officially that is. Her husband joined Sun Lakes Rotary immediately after they moved to Arizona, and Judi helped out in a lot of projects, but never joined until the very clever membership director said the club would pay the first 6 months of the dues and for any spouse who would join. And that did it. Judi joined, and as a result, Rotary is better served today. Thank you, Judi. Sun Lakes Rotary is a Peace Builders Club, and Judi chairs the Peace Builders Committee and the local charity committee. She also serves on the District Peace Builders Committee and the Peace Fellowship. Judi was honored to receive her club's Rotary of the Year award this spring. Congratulations, Judi. However, Judi, would you please take a minute and explain to us during your presentation what is a Peace Builders Club? It sounds like a very interesting and neat thing. On with the bio. Judi enjoys traveling. She spends a couple of months in Australia and New Zealand after going there on a Rotary Friendship Exchange. Judi likes spending a month or more in a country so that she can get a feel of the culture beyond just the tourist sites, and has seen quite a bit of the world and wants to see even more. She keeps coming home to Sun Lakes, the master planned age-restricted development on the east edge of Phoenix. There you have it. Take it away, Judi, and fellow Rotarians, enjoy. Hello.
Well, thank you very much. Let me get myself organized here. All right, do you see the screen, Arizona, so much to experience?
Not yet.
You don't see the screen share?
No, not yet.
Okay. I don't know why that would be. Huh. Come on, slideshow from beginning. All right, let me go back down here. I am sharing.
Now it's okay.
That's better.
All right, there we go.
Good.
All right. Okay, all right, here we go then. Arizona is an incredibly diverse state with a long and intriguing history, From the spectacular rock formations created at the beginning of time, to the indigenous people who have lived here for centuries, to finally the immigrants who arrived after the invention of air conditioning and built Phoenix, the 5th largest city in the United States, complete with professional sports, light rail, and opera. We are a combination of modern urban culture and an ancient land and people. We are in the southwest corner of the United States, and the Spanish missionaries, the conquerors, and cowboys have contributed a lot to our culture, as has Mexico. There is so much to discover in Arizona. I've only been able to include a sampling of what Arizona has to offer. People often think of Arizona as a desert state, but when you look at this map, you'll see that only about a quarter of Arizona is desert. The rest of the state is mountains. Arizona is Indian land, and we're indebted to the First Nations for a great deal of our arts, our jewelry, and culture. The Navajo Nation up here in the Northeast is the largest reservation in the United States at 27,425 square miles and 173,000 people. Across the centuries, the people of all of these cultures have built incredible cliff dwellings and pueblos, sort of like community apartment houses, traces of which remain to this day. The tribes in what is now the greater Phoenix area also built a canal system to irrigate their farms that fed the entire Southwest. Those canals are still part of the modern system that brings water to Phoenix and the surrounding areas. Most of us today live in stucco homes with tile roofs and enjoy our magnificent sunsets, our golf courses, and artificial lakes. One of the reasons my husband and I moved to Arizona after we retired was because of the plenitude of professional arts throughout the valley. One venue is the historic Orpheum Theater, where we recently took in a ballet with our granddaughter. Originally built for vaudeville in the 1920s, it now houses the Phoenix Opera and also hosts concerts, Broadway musicals, and ballet, as well as special events. If your taste runs more to the ultra-modern, there's Symphony Hall and countless other theaters around the valley. Broadway touring companies perform at the Herberger and Gamage theaters, and there are many high-quality professional theater companies around the valley. The wealth of professional sports was another reason for us to relocate to Arizona. We have every professional sport you can think of, all with good Arizona names: the Suns, the Diamondbacks, the Coyotes, etc. And of course, throughout the valley, golf. And the 16th hole of the Waste Management Open on the PGA Tour is unique in golf. The fans in these stands are encouraged to cheer and boo and really create a ruckus. The players and the fans all love it. In March, Phoenix hosts baseball spring training for the Cactus League. 15 professional Major League Baseball teams arrive to train at 10 facilities, and their fans flood the entire Phoenix area to watch several baseball games a day. There are more than 40 museums in Phoenix area, including the Scottsdale Museum of the West, that has an array of saddles, ropes, guns, etc. And the absolutely unique Musical Instrument Museum, containing exhibits from all over the world throughout all of history. And the one museum that you cannot miss when you're in Phoenix is the Heard Museum. It contains information about all of the Arizona tribes, a spectacular exhibit of kachinas, the little dolls that represent the immortal beings of Navajo and Hopi tribes, and are used for protection and instruction of the children. Once a year, the Heard Museum sponsors a hoop dancing competition and dancers come from all over to compete. Another interesting museum and archaeological site is Pueblo Grande in downtown Phoenix. As you tour the remains of this ancient pueblo, jet airplanes are taking off over your head from Sky Harbor International Airport, which is right next door. The Desert Botanical Garden displays desert plants from around the world and also temporary installations of art. And the Japanese Friendship Garden is a quiet and beautifully peaceful space in the midst of the 5th largest city in the country. It celebrates our connection with our sister city in Japan. The valley has a fairly large Asian presence. The Chinese were among the earliest modern settlers in this area. Today, the Chinese Lantern Festival is a huge draw. There's also a large Vietnamese population, especially in the East Valley, where there are several large Asian marketplaces. At home, our yards are filled with colorful cactus blooms, purple sage, and other flowers. We have a wonderful variety of animals, including, including the Gambel's quail. We also have a few coyote who tour our neighborhood and enjoy our golf courses, and I think probably our numerous bunnies too. The rattlesnakes, which are seldom seen in suburban yards, but are often encountered on hiking trails, the scorpions and the javelina were here long before we were, so we cohabitate. The bark scorpion is the only lethal scorpion in North America, and it glows green under ultraviolet light. So periodically, I scout our yard after dark with my ultraviolet flashlight, and my husband follows along with scorpion spray. The javelina are peccaries, distantly related to pigs and hippos, and can be seen in herds, mostly in north-central Arizona. I live in Sun Lakes, one of many master plan developments southeast of Phoenix. We're bounded on the south and west by the Gila River community, which has named their resort and casino Wild Horse Pass after the herds of wild horses in the area. We have lots of parks and artificial lakes fed with gray water that draws birds of all sorts. The roadrunner, of course, is Arizona's iconic bird, even though the cactus wren is our official state bird. And this one wanted to join me on a park bench one morning. The cardinal is such a beautiful and important bird that our football team has taken on its name. Ostrich farming used to be a major industry in this area, with the meat, the feathers, and leather in high demand in the early 20th century. We still have an annual ostrich festival in Chandler. We do have seasons in Arizona, even in the valley. The monsoons come in late summer, sometimes with spectacular thunderstorms, and often with haboobs, the huge dust storms that sweep through the desert and the cities. But now let's get out of Phoenix and see some of the rest of Arizona. As we head south, we come to a national monument, Casa Grande, the big house. This was an astronomical and ceremonial structure for the villages nearby in the 1300s. The modern town of Casa Grande now hosts an annual all-Indian rodeo. Rodeo is big in Arizona, and Payson has the oldest continuous rodeo in the world. Further south towards Tucson, we come to the beautiful San Xavier Mission. Founded in 1692 by the Jesuit missionary Father Kino, it still serves, excuse me, it still serves as the parish church for the Tonawatha, the indigenous people who have made this desert home for centuries. The present church was built under the direction of the Franciscans. Construction began in 1783 and was completed in 1797. Tumacacori is another mission near Tucson. There are occasional ceremonies here, but it serves as a museum and not a church now. The grounds are extensive and peaceful. People come from all over Arizona to walk the trails and absorb the beauty. While we're in the Tucson area, you might want to visit Tombstone, the site of the OK Corral and Boot Hill of Old West fame. It's really touristy now, but it does hold authentic Wild West history. Arizona is known for its copper mining, the first of the 5 C's of Arizona. There are a number of pit mines, great gouges in the landscape, that have given Arizona the moniker the Copper State. Unfortunately, the copper mines devastate the land. On a happier note, we can drive just a little bit to the west through Saguaro National Park and revel at the awe-inspiring beauty of the land. It's just so gorgeous. Then we come to Kartchner Cavern, also in the southern part of our state near Tucson. It's a live cave, which means that its stalactites and stalagmites are still growing and very, very fragile, but also very beautiful. It has a large bat community that hibernates during the winter and returns to breed in the spring. The cave has an interesting history of discovery and protection. Limited numbers of people can visit because of its fragility, so it's advisable to schedule a tour weeks, if not months, ahead. We can't leave the Tucson area without visiting the famous border wall. On the Mexican side, mementos have been left and art created commemorating loved ones lost in the area. Until the mid-1800s, Arizona was part of Mexico, and the food and culture of Mexico are still a significant part of life in Arizona. Almost a third of Arizona's population is of Hispanic descent. Heading north past Phoenix, we come to Montezuma's Castle, which has nothing to do with Montezuma, but is typical of the cliff dwellings built by Sinawa people of central and northern Arizona hundreds of years ago. Sinawa means without water, and these people ingeniously created ways to channel water to their crops. It was the beginning of agriculture in this land. Montezuma's Castle and the nearby Montezuma's Well are the third national monument established by the US government. Tuzigut is a pueblo also built by Sinawa people and occupied for hundreds of years before it was abandoned in the early 1300s. Elk Creek Canyon is spectacularly lush and beautiful. And then it opens into the red rocks that Sedona is famous for. Colored by iron oxide, the landscape is stunning. And the town has restaurants and shops worth investigating, especially in the high-end shops of Tlaquepaque. Arizona celebrates the historic Route 66, the highway between Chicago and Los Angeles, and has a Standing on the Corner park in the small town of Winslow, commemorating the Eagles song, even including the girl in the flatbed truck. Winslow is also home to the best preserved meteor impact site on Earth. It was created some 50,000 years ago and now has a visitor center hosted by NASA with a space capsule and the Barringer Space Museum. This crater is about 560 feet deep and 4,000 feet across. Arizona does have several large lakes that provide boating and fishing recreation. On what we call the West Coast, Arizona's border with California on the Colorado River, is Lake Havasu, formed by the Parker Dam. In 1968, the man who founded the city purchased London Bridge, dismantled it, and shipped it from the Thames to the Colorado River, where he built a concrete structure clad in the original London masonry of 1830, and it links a small island to the mainland of Havasu City. When you do an internet search for things to see and do in Lake Havasu, Rotary Community Park is always the first or second item listed. It's a huge park with a beach, picnic ramadas, miles of walking trails, and the Tinnell Skate Park, which is the largest skate park in Arizona and the largest multiple skate BMX park in the Southwest. Wupatki National Monument is a 1,000-year-old ancestral Pueblo site with over 100 rooms. It has an above-ground kiva, which is the room for religious ceremonies, and a ball court in the style of the Hohokam to the south. Its stories are still told by Navajo and Zuni tribal members, and especially the Hopi, who consider these people their ancestors. White Pocket is just what its name says, a pocket of white rock in the Vermilion Cliffs. This area is gorgeous, but it's very difficult to access. In contrast, Horseshoe Bend, near the town of Page on the northeast corner of the Grand Canyon, is very accessible and one of the most photographed sites in Arizona. The Grand Canyon truly is grand. Its expanse is mind-boggling. This is what not to do at the canyon. Many people have lost their lives trying to get a spectacular picture. There are better ways to get to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, such as the Bright Angel Trail, which does get very snowy in the winter and very warm in the summer. You can hike down to the bottom of the canyon on this trail, or you can take a mule ride. And if you've booked in advance, you can experience a whitewater rafting trip on the Colorado River through the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The Havasupai tribe has made their home at the bottom of the canyon for centuries, and you're required to spend a minimum of 3 nights with them if you want to do the strenuous 10-mile hike to the falls. Although the suspension of tourism has been extended through 2022, you can book tours for 2023. The falls are worth the trip. Now we'll head east to the Four Corners area, where Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico meet. You can actually stand with your feet in 2 different states and put your hands in 2 other states. In this area, we find Monument Valley, part of the Navajo Reservation, and the setting of countless Western movies. The Mittens are one of the most famous monuments in the valley. You can see the shape of the hand with the thumb on the side. The Navajo, of course, are famous for their weaving and for their turquoise and silver work. I met this woman at a restaurant and purchased this rug that she had woven. The Navajo believe in wearing their wealth, as you can see from the rings and the necklace and the earrings that this woman is wearing. Canyon de Chelly is one of the most impactful places that I have visited in Arizona. Let's get there. People have lived in Canyon de Chelly and farmed here from time immemorial. The canyon has protected the Navajo from invaders of all kinds, and the people still farm in the canyon and make and sell their jewelry. You can only visit with a Navajo guide, and the tour is very well worth it. If you're lucky, your guide will take you to Spider Rock, the home of Spider Woman, the creator of the world, who lives at the very top of the rock, which is a very sacred spot for all Navajo. The White House cliff dwelling in the canyon is the remains of an Anasazi village built about 350 AD and occupied until about 1380. Anasazi means the ones who have gone before. Because the homes on the Navajo reservation are so widely spaced, there's no water or sewer service to the homes. Only 1 in 3 Navajo families have running water and toilets in their homes. Our club got a global grant to provide indoor hot and cold running water and solar lights to 33 homes so that the children could do homework in the evenings and not spend upwards of 2 hours a day hauling buckets of water. We partnered with a group called Dig Deep, which is an indigenous business with strong ties in the community. A 12,000-gallon cistern was installed in the ground to pipe water into the house, and a solar panel was installed on the roof to provide hot water and lights. This is the completed installation and the grandmother of the family who lives here. There are gorgeous slot canyons on the reservation, including Antelope Canyon. Slot canyons can be very narrow and difficult to navigate, but the light is incredible, and they are a photographer's dream. As we leave the reservation, we drive through small towns surrounded by the largest stand of pine forest in the world, the Coconino National Forest. We arrive at the Mogollon Rim, which extends for approximately 200 miles, almost to New Mexico, and forms the southern edge of the Colorado Plateau, overlooking the Ponderosa Pine Forest. From there, we can cross the Painted Desert and the Petrified Forest with its huge and incredible logs turned to stone. By this time, we're probably hungry and want to stop for some traditional Navajo fry bread, maybe just a sweet treat, or maybe a full meal of Navajo tacos. Or maybe down the road, we'll find some authentic Mexican food, which is ubiquitous throughout Arizona. Our day is about ended as the sun sets on the Arizona flag, with its 13 red and yellow stripes, representing both our vibrant sunsets and the history of Coronado's Spanish flag from 1540. The blue is the same as the US flag, and the star in the middle represents the copper mining that built our state. And so we say goodbye with an awesome Arizona sunset. And that's it. Thank you.
Judy, thank you for your wonderful presentation. We have one question now. What is the sister city in Japan?
Oh, I don't remember. I'm sorry. I think there's actually more than one. I'll have to look that up.
I was in the internet checking. The question was provided by Irina, right? From Russia. I read here something like Jerome. It's in the south, I think. Do you know, Irina, which city is the sister city in Japan?
Hello, everyone. Happy to to be a part of this awesome conference. I have no idea what sister city in Japan Arizona has.
I found on the Google Himeji. Is it right?
Himeji?
Yep. Himeji. Or Himeji. I don't know how to pronounce it in Japan.
But what island is it? What Japanese island is it on?
It is Japanese. No. It's close to Kobe.
Ah, I
It's the
see.
main island.
I see.
Mhm.
That's interesting because Arizona, the United States, and Japan are two far countries, and to choose a Japanese city as a sister city, that's awesome, actually. I live on a big island, the biggest island of Russia. It's eastern part of the country, and it takes me like 15 minutes by plane to get Japan. So we are next door to Japan, and we have lots of sister cities between our island and Japan. But Arizona and Japan, that's really interesting for me. But
So
thank you anyway. Yeah.
maybe Himeji is the sister city of Phoenix, for example.
Oh, maybe.
When I've been in Vegas years ago, I've been in the Indian Reserve, close to there, and there is a sky walk through the Colorado River through the Green Canyon. It's Walla something like that. Would you explain to us with that?
Yeah, that was built. It's scary. I mean, you walk out and it's like you're walking on glass and you can see down. It's just scary. It was built by the tribe there, so it's part of their contribution to tourism in the canyon.
Yes.
I've been there. Excuse me. I've been there, and so it's a horseshoe-shaped skywalk that
Right.
you can walk on.
Yep.
But the view, you don't see the total bottom of the canyon because there's a ledge that obstructs the view.
Oh,
You
okay.
You get a better view from the side of the canyon than from the skywalk itself.
Yep. From the
And
Eagle Point, you can see the bottom. Right.
Yeah. The other bummer thing for me was you couldn't take your cameras on the skywalk. You know, your big DSLR cameras, you had to leave them outside because when it opened, one of the TV cameramen had their camera with it and it fell down and it cracked the glass.
Wow.
So they
Gee.
wouldn't allow
Scary.
any cameras on the skywalk.
Okay. There was a question about peace builder clubs. We are a peace builder club because that's one of the pillars of Rotary. And what peace builder clubs believe is that every act of service is an act of peace. We want to build peace, not just stop conflict, although that is a good thing too, but we want to build the foundations for peace. If there isn't economic stability, there isn't going to be peace. If there isn't a just government, there isn't going to be peace. If there isn't food sufficiency, there isn't going to be peace. Everything that we do, every part of our life affects us as stress or as comfort. And if as Rotarians we can build the foundations of peace so that people feel like they are functioning and sustaining their lives and their families in a good, comfortable way, there will be peace. So a Peace Builder Club focuses our projects on those foundations to build peace from the bottom up, so that people will communicate with each other, respect each other, and live together harmoniously. So every act of service is an act of peace, is our motto.
We have a comment from Leslie from Australia. She traveled a lot to Arizona, but only for the few places close to the Grand Canyon. And she said your presentation was fabulous because you show us different parts of Arizona. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to emphasize that there's so much diversity in the state. And there are the famous points, and I left out so many things. Every time I tell one of my friends that I'm doing a presentation, they say, "Oh, did you include this?" Well, no, I didn't have room for that. "Oh, did you talk about this?" Well, no, I couldn't get that in. Well, I mean, there's just so much more even that I was able to include here. But yeah, it's a fascinating state. It really is.
Yeah, the Yuma Valley is used for to grow grapes for wine. It's very famous as well. It's a wonderful place for wine. I've been there and I know very well the area. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you need to come back, and I'll host you.
I will.
And we'll go wine tasting.
I promise. I promise. Now the COVID is over, so I promise to visit there.
Yeah, the Jerome, Sedona, Oak Creek, that area particularly has some really good wineries, but there are also some good wineries down around Tucson.
Jerome is the phantasmagoric city. What's the story about?
Oh, well, it's a mining town.
Mm-hmm.
Built on the side of the mountain, so it's very, very steep. It's the roads are just absolutely narrow and switchbacks going up the mountain. And they say that there are ghosts in the hotel and ghosts in some of the restaurants, and yeah, it's a haunted city.
It's a part of the Road 66.
Not specifically, no. But it's nearby.
Because I thought the Eagle wrote the music out of California from there. Yeah, because it's a ghost hotel, right?
Yeah. And the whole of Jerome is now an artistic community. There's just some really interesting jewelry, painting, crafts of all sorts. So it's been taken over by artists and restaurateurs. So it's a fun place to visit.
Is there ice wine in Arizona?
No, I don't think so.
Easy.
Yes, Irina, there's ice wine in British Columbia. There's ice wine in Canada, in Niagara. It's because of the weather here. And Quebec, which is a neighboring province to us, they have ice cider, which is the same thing. They let the apples freeze on the trees, and then they extract the juice to make ice cider. And if you ever haven't tasted it, you should. It's excellent.
Oh, I see. It's because of climate. My first try was in Niagara Falls Winery. It was more than 20 years ago. And since then it became my favorite. And at all duty-free shops, I tried to get it because actually we have very, very limited quantity. So quantity in Russia of ice wine. That's something.
Yeah, normally they produce wines from grapes after the snowing. All the grapes are frozen.
I see.
And normally the grapes are more fruity and there are more sugar in the fruity, so it's a different kind.
So I see
in
lots
Finland.
of wine experts are here.
My son is a
Thank you.
sommelier, so I wish you were on the call so that you could talk with him about that.
Okay, as you will have more questions, Madhu, will you guide us to the rooms, please?